okay, we have a camera from this piece, we got the speaker from this place, and the mic from that place, and who's actually doing it well? Stop borrowing stuff just to borrow stuff. And that's where we need that niche. Focus on what you do well and solve for problems in our field that haven't been solved for yet.
Mitchell, you had better put in like the Oscar applause after Jen said that. Just
yeah, literally.
A safety recall from L-Acoustics, fixing loud offices, and the importance of manufacturer partnerships. All that and more next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 675, recorded Friday, July 26th, 2024. AV Soapbox. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and information we have gathered. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, brand spanking new member of AVI-SPL. Her name is Jen Steinhardt. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Also with us is Steph Beckett from Rave and my side of the brain, also AV Buyers Club. How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you? Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we call him an AV, an AV legend, an AV sage. His name is Brock McGinnis.
Curmudgeon.
Oh, Curmudgeon. I thought you said too much. Brock McGinnis from Nationwide, also the Great White North of Canada. Welcome, sir.
Always grateful to be invited back, sir.
Appreciate it. A couple things happened, and okay, so here's the story. I got wind of a recall L-Acoustics had done. L-Acoustics makes fantastic speakers. That is Tim's opinion, but it's a pretty accurate one. You can tell me there are other ones. I'd list off Meyer Sound certainly and JBLs, but L-Acoustics is up there in the upper echelons. They had a safety recall for two of their mounting brackets. First time it's happened in a while. If you want the specifics, the A-U15i and the A-U10i models. As one of the few times you're going to hear me say a freaking product number. The company pointed customers to dealers if they have had speakers installed since 2020. That's when this mount was designed and first produced. L-Acoustics has suspended shipping any new mounts. They're sending out kits to secure brackets in the field. So really quickly, they're sending out a kit to make sure those brackets don't fail in the field today. However, once a redesign is done, the company plans to provide new replacement brackets at no cost to customers. That means no cost for labor, no cost to anything like that. Think of it a bit like if Toyota or another car manufacturer had a recall on, seatbelts or something. Other thing about this is L-Acoustics is giving $100 a bracket, actually €100, so about $108, $110 per bracket for proof the brackets have been replaced. So they're a little serious about this. Steph, I want to start with you on this because this came to me kind of sideways through an integrator friend of mine. Mm-hmm. They didn't put out a press release that I'm aware of.
No, because I didn't get it either.
that was so. What is the best way to inform customers of recalls, especially a safety recall?
I would start by maybe sending a press release. That would kind of be, I get that it's not something you want to happen to your company, right? Yeah. You don't want to admit we designed something that is faulty, but it seems like they're very serious about this. If they are sending money, they're sending replacements, they're already redesigning. So they're clearly they don't want to be sued. So I'm guessing I don't know where the disconnect was in not sending a press release to all the major publications in AV. I feel like that's the quickest way to let people know what's going on.
Brock is shaking his head. No,
Brock, you're shaking your head. You don't agree with me?
My wife manages Canada for L-Acoustics.
Okay.
What
did you ask her about this?
So this didn't just happen, Tim.
Okay.
This was a while ago. So they contacted every single purchaser directly about this. They didn't have to issue a press release because they made hundreds of phone calls.
Pause for a second. You said purchasers. So are we talking clients and customers? Or are we talking dealers and distributors?
Integrators, if they knew where, but they also know where every one of their products are.
Okay.
because they don't sell speakers without their amplified processors that go with them, which are kind of an online software updated thing. It is a very tightly managed product line. And I think you used the word earlier, or the phrase, very serious.
Mm-hmm.
L-Acoustic are very serious about pretty much everything they do and very intentional. And ordinarily, I'd say, yep, put out a press release and let everybody know. But they didn't want, I expect, to chance people not noticing, people not reading. A lot of people don't read much of anything anymore. And so they went out and dealt with it. Every one of those brackets. My understanding is they had one bracket fail in one place. This was not, a massive thing, but they have a 40-year reputation to protect. From their perspective, they're kind of I don't know what the car analogy would be, but certainly kind of the Mercedes-Benz or Rolls-Royce or something of the professional audio business. So it was an interesting thing, and I recall it because I couldn't believe my wife was having to make that many calls. Now, fortunately, they're sold 16 and 24 and 32 at a time.
Yeah.
A10s and A15s. Very popular kind of point source box.
All right. And in the state, well, at least used to be my age, used to be Cadillac. Brock used to be the Cadillac is the one you're looking for. Jen, same question is what's the best way to get the word out here?
I think there's one key stakeholder in particular that came to mind that I think was missing out of that mass communications that Brock was communicating. And that's also the consultant community, that there's really no way to track really what are consultants specifying. But if they're not made aware of this kind of news, and what should they be specifying for ongoing, if they're continuing to specify a model that's in recall, that can be even further problematic. It may be difficult to track for the integrators that may be awarded those bins. And so I think it's great that they reached out to the integrators. But in terms of crisis communications, I think more transparency is still the best way to win trust overall. And so that's the one side that concerned me. But that's very good to know, Brock, because I was not aware of that, as I'm just recently back into integration myself. So
Well, I was going to mention that Jen just went from a consultant to an integrator, AVISPL. Mm-hmm. When you look at that consultant community, would it be a case where if a consultant did spec something that was in recall, right, a bracket or an amplifier or whatever, in your experience, is that something where the integrator who did have that communication could then push back and say, hey, just so you're aware, can we replace this because this sucker's in recall?
Oh, sure. That could be handled in RFI. So it's not that it can't be rectified, but it's such, when we're talking about a recall that's based around safety, and looking at trust overall, I think that transparency up front would go a long way. And it's less back and forth and communication that you need to hassle when we get plenty of RFIs and submittals as is. And so, that's a very good point, Tim, as well, though. But
yeah, I'm not sure the model number even would have changed. It's just, we don't sell these anymore. We sell these, and certainly today you can't get a quote from L-Acoustic for a bracket that is unsuitable. You can only get the quote for the bracket that they ship now.
So that's actually a good point, Brock. You don't think, and they have not made mention of changing the number, the item number. So I guess the dumb question here is, how do we know when that has been done? Like that
it might be a 110 FV2 kind of situation, where they have some sort of asterisk on their price list.
Okay.
If my wife wasn't on a plane back from Vancouver, I'd shove downstairs and ask her.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, it's interesting, and it's a good point, Jen. And I'm pretty sure that the people who are specifying large venue audio and are serviced at L-Acoustic by particular types of reps. They don't sell stuff; they just service consultants. That would have been communicated. Consultants hate being out of the loop and finding out third hand that anything they were involved with might not have been perfect.
Alrighty. Next story comes to us from Rave. Extron and MAXHUB are partnering together for UCC systems. With this collaboration, customers can use the MAXHUB X-Core kit to control call volume. They can control lighting, shades, other control options using Extron control, which I found fascinating. Brock, really quickly on this, how important is it when you're talking to customers to incorporate control, third-party control in this instance, into a UC product or into a UC deployment like this?
Today, absolutely critical.
Okay.
So no client today wants two pieces of glass on their table.
Okay.
They want one touch panel, one control panel that is going to operate everything. And you're either going to take a navigator panel or a tap or whatever and use it to control non-UC audiovisual equipment, or you're going to take a Crestron or Extron panel and integrate that with whatever UC engine you're driving. But nobody is putting up with having to go to two different remotes effectively to do their UC. So it's gotta have it.
Jen, same kind of question is how important is it, both from the consulting side and also the integration side? Are you seeing the need for control? As Brock said, one pane of glass to control everything.
I agree with Brock. It's absolutely critical. More and more, we're looking at interoperability and how are we going to support that interoperability. And so I think that it's something that we need more partnerships like this.
Steph, I want to take a little bit different angle on this with you. What is the importance of partnerships like this when we look at manufacturers? We used to call it coopetition. I don't know if that's still an in vogue term, but it's one that I kind of like. But when you look at manufacturers partnering together for, again, obviously a system or a solution that customers are asking for, again, one pane of glass, how important is it for manufacturers to come together and partner for this sort of thing?
Well, we're kind of seeing this trend going in two different directions. On one hand, we're seeing manufacturers partner in areas that they are not currently in or areas where they want to get better. And then on the other hand, we're seeing manufacturers who want to be your everything. They want to be your one-stop shop. I personally prefer it on the other side where manufacturers are partnering in areas that they are not great in, because I haven't met a manufacturer who is perfect at every single piece of AV. If there is one, call me up. Would love to hear from you. Would love to see your stuff. But I have not seen that yet. So I think that leveraging one another's strengths is really important if we are going to keep advancing as an industry. Like Brock and Jen said, when you think about a non-technical end user, they want things to be as easy as possible. Even when I go in and I join a meeting, I don't want to look at 2 or 3 or 17 panes of glass to do everything. I want to be able to do that in one spot and just join my meeting and everything's easy, everything's working. And so the easiest way for that to happen is for a really well-known control company to probably partner with a few really well-known UC companies. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this.
Brock, actually, this is for any of you, but I'll pick on Brock for a second. Something that Steph said there are manufacturers who have not gotten the memo that they're not great at everything, and there are some in our industry that have tried to be everything to everyone, and I have heard the term one person to blame, and there are some other more nefarious terms that I won't use, but let's just say one person to blame. And there might not be an answer here, but how do we get across to these wonderful human beings that they don't have to be everything to everyone, that they should focus on what they're really great at and what they're not great at, bring somebody else along.
Sorry, I think I hear Steph's phone ringing, and it probably has a New Jersey area code number.
That could be like half a dozen companies.
It could be half a dozen companies. It's really tough as an integrator to tell a rep that you like a lot and do a lot of business with that I love you for this, but that part of your portfolio sucks. And it's been particularly challenging as some of our favorite, control and signal transmission people have decided they're going to be in the UC business.
Yeah.
And some of our UC vendors have decided they're going to try and be in the AV business. And it's it's challenging. And my guess, and I had a conversation with some really good people at one of those New Jersey companies, is that we're actually going to see companies. I'm not going to use the word shrinking because that only applies to workforces, but product portfolios are going to focus on what people are best at. And I think, post-pandemic, new AV world realities, where the industry has changed so much in the last 5 years, that folks need to focus and not just be hell-bent for leather to try and become the next X billion-dollar unicorn company in AV, but to make what they make well, support their customers well, go back to all the things that got them where they were, rather than trying to be everything to everybody, and especially the AV companies that have tried to be everything to the IT industry. Stepping off the soapbox.
I'd like to jump onto the soapbox that you just stepped off of. That I think a really good example of that is the bajillion video bars that we have on the market today.
Say that again for those in the back a little bit louder.
Yell it.
Enough with the video bars, please.
Yell it.
It's just that you take, and that's one of where you think, okay, because we're talking about an example of collaborations, right? That, okay, we have a camera from this piece, we got the speaker from this place, and the mic from that place, and who's actually doing it well? Stop borrowing stuff just to borrow stuff. And that's where we need that niche. Focus on what you do well and solve for problems in our field that haven't been solved for yet. I think that, Brock, you also brought up a really good point about this post-pandemic, now that we're really, really getting into this swing of video-enabled spaces. And I think that's culturally part of what drove that rush, is everyone wants to be first. But you shouldn't be first just to do it. It needs to be purpose-driven. So now I'm getting off of that soapbox. And Steph, if you'd like to jump on, please. But
I mean, I also am so tired of reading press releases about video bars. And I guess the thing is now, that we've saturated the market with them, is if you care about something more than another thing, chances are you kind of have your pick. There's no perfect video bar. One has a slightly better this, one has a slightly better that. But I think we got enough now. You have enough to choose from if that is something that you really, really need. So yeah, 100% agree.
Mitchell, you had better put in the Oscar applause after Jen said that. Just
yeah, literally.
Our last story. Recent report by Jabra reveals a startling statistic. This is from Jabra, so take that the slight grain of salt here. 71% of workers in quote-unquote loud environments are experiencing mental fatigue due to noise levels. I am one of those. The study, which surveyed 2,000 knowledge workers across multiple countries, highlights the growing importance of audio quality and neurodiversity in the workplace, with nearly half of respondents struggling to maintain productivity amid colleagues' unmuted calls. The report emphasizes the need for better audio solutions. Side note, my kids both know that they do not play anything on their phones without headphones. That's just a rule in my house. It just is. Jabra's findings suggest that investing in noise in noise canceling headphones, creating designed quiet zones, and allowing more frequent remote work could significantly improve employee well-being and performance. Now, Jen, it was made by Jabra. So again, slight grain of salt here, but there was a lot in there, and I know a lot of people, including yours truly. It may be my age now. It just may be the way I've always been. I don't know. But I hate it's not the SPL level, right? To get technical for a second, it's the cacophony of multiples, right? Yep. But how do we create a seemingly quieter workspace as employers are encouraging people to come back to the office?
I think there's kind of two scenarios, right? You're looking at if you're planning new space versus working with existing space. So I'll take the easier of the two, that if you're planning for a new space, reducing the amount of open work area or being more intentional with your open work areas. So it's somewhere that people can go and sit, and that you have a separate area that is dedicated for taking calls. And now how that looks like, that could be increasing your number of phone booths. A lot of places might only have maybe 2 or 3 per floor. And so you think of what is your capacity of workers on a floor to that private space? And are you going to uproot your entire work system from your desk to that phone booth? And what if you need those multiple screens while you're kind of doing whatever it is that you have to do? You're starting to reduce that, even if you're putting in, fancy technology of non-named technology into those booths that maybe have a decent sized screen, but even so, not everybody's going that route. So space planning purposefully and intentionally will go an incredibly long way. Sure, you can do acoustic, I can speak today, acoustic treatment. That still only goes so far. And one of the things that I experienced as a neurodiverse individual working in an open workspace is that even if you are going the route of having headphones on, a lot of people, whether they're forced or they want to come to the office, are coming for that engagement and that collaboration. And what happens when you're listening to headphones all day is either people think that you're on a call, or they don't stop and talk, or you're not hearing a conversation that maybe you wanted to jump into and engage in. And so for much of my life, I've been a huge advocate of wearing headphones, having good headphones for your workspace so that, they are helping to enable taking out some of that noise. But that's also a matter of money, either for the individual or the company, if you're looking at a grander scale. And so there's a lot of good advice. And I think that article is, although it's by Jabra, a lot of that research is in line with a lot of what I'm seeing in terms of the neurodiverse community and how this is affecting even people outside of the neurodiverse community. And so that's my TED Talk for that.
Steph, Jen brought up something here, and it's actually a couple. I read a couple of articles about "quote unquote" the end of the open office plan. Now, I don't yet buy into it because I'm not seeing it. Right? I think some of the articles have been more aspirational than anything, because some of it's talking about the return to work, the fact that there is going to be a glut of real estate, commercial real estate, at least here in the States. So I don't know if it is the end of the open office, or if it is, something else. But how do we lower the overall volume, but also at the same time, as been pointed out, encourage connectivity?
God, that's a really hard question to answer. But I think that we don't have an answer to that right now. I think that it's just going to take some time to see what's going on. I have said on more occasion than once that working in the office or at home or hybrid or whatever you want to call it, it's just kind of the Wild West right now. Everyone's just throwing things at the wall and kind of seeing what works. So it feels kind of early and difficult to say that something is trending or that something's going to happen right now, because I think we're just trying to make whatever work. But at the same time, I think it depends on what type of company you are, because sometimes an open office works. I mean, for us at Rave, we're a pretty open office and that works for us. But we also have a policy where, like, if you need to take a call and it's more than like quick, we work on a floor that has 10 phone booths. And then 2 focus rooms as well. So it's just kind of like unspoken, like just go in there if you need to go and yap, because we do work collaboratively. And so we're just all talking and working in the office anyway. So if someone's on a call and then other people are talking, like if you're neurodivergent, like you're not going to like it in there. Like it is so overstimulating. So that's just kind of our answer to that. I don't know if it's the right or the wrong one, but it's kind of what's working for us right now.
Then it would be the right answer for you guys.
Yeah.
Right. That was that.
For us.
I think that's the magic there. Brock, same kind of question. Generically, how do we lower the office volume and also at the same time encourage collaboration?
It's culture, very much a culture piece, and it needs to be communicated, certainly by management at a whole bunch of levels, and then it has to be practiced by those same levels of management at a whole bunch of levels. In the office I'm managing, if you're going to do a video call, you go to another room. You do not sit in an open area with a laptop, make a video. I don't care if you got a headset on or not. Whatever it is about video calls, we speak loudly. I work at home with my wife in the same building. She's one floor down on the other side of the house, and we still send each other texts to tone it down. So it ends up being a bit of personal preference. Lots of people go out to sports bars to watch a game rather than watch them at home. Those are loud, obnoxious environments, and yet we willingly go to them, right? So it's not that we don't like people. And there was the most interesting part of the article to me was that Jabra was actually talking about neurodiversity and the neurodivergent as one of the reasons you should buy headsets. Well, it's not just neurodivergent people that are bothered by interruptions. That's why we've got sound masking systems in offices since the Stone Age. So it's an interesting topic, but it all starts with people. Does somebody come to your desk or cubicle and interrupt you? Or do they send you a message and say, do you have time to chat? That's culture. When you pick up a phone call and it's from your auto mechanic and you're ticked about how much it's going to cost to fix your car, do you leave your desk and go to that phone room before you start speaking loudly? Or do you inflict that on all of your coworkers? And it's one little, pat on the shoulder at a time. In your consulting and engineering world, Jen, high degree of concentration required. You're deep into drawings, deep into specifications and details and wire numbers and that. When I'm doing a takeoff, I cannot be interrupted. I can't even play music in the background. And yet there are other parts of what I do. Music blaring, people can be talking. It really doesn't matter. It's part of the stimulating environment. So one size does not fit all. Although I've never personally understood those offices that have long rows of desks with laptop after laptop after laptop and headset after headset after headset. It was tough enough in the Veal Pen days, when everybody had an acoustically treated cubicle, that folks would object to that as kind of a lack of privacy. But a good set of headphones makes a big difference.
All right. That'll be a good place to stop. Thank you all so much. Jen Steinhardt, good to see you again, ma'am. Congratulations on the new gig at SPL. How do people connect with you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or I'm on Twitter or X or whatever it calls itself these days at Nerdy Girl AV.
All right, very good. Steph, good to see you, ma'am. How do people connect with you, with Rave, or with the AV Buyers Club?
Thank you very much, Tim. You can connect with me. I'm on Twitter, X, whatever, at Steph L. Beckett. I am on LinkedIn, also Steph Beckett, and LinkedIn.com. And my little thing is Steph L. Beckett. And then Rave Pubs, you can go to ravepubs.com or avbuyers.club if you want to see our end user facing publication.
All right. Mr. McGinnis, thank you, sir. Good to see you as always. How do people connect with you or Nationwide?
I'm Brock at nationwideav.com. I'm on LinkedIn, rarely on Twitter anymore. I don't have the time to invest, and somehow the platform has changed a bit, and a lot of the people that I used to enjoy reading are no longer there writing. So Steph is very funny, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Were you posting about Twister this week? Anyway, sorry, Tim. But I'm at Brock McGinnis at Twitter. So.
My favorite thread that Steph has done to date is when she went and started watching all the Marvel movies. So if go find Steph Beckett on Twitter and just go back and read those threads. That was, as a Marvel fan, it was very entertaining.
Thank you. I need to pick that up. I think I'm like 7 movies behind now. But yeah, anyway.
My wonderful 18-year-old decided the other day that she needs to watch them all in chronological order, which I think she counted up. It's 72 hours, which I told her she doesn't have time for that between now and college. But that's beside the point. For Tim Albright, don't follow me anywhere because I'm not very interesting, nor am I funny. But go by the website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others, brand new Women in AV with Amelia. So you can check that out. Also, I didn't mention this at the beginning. I will be going, and I believe Steph is going to Denver the 5th through the 7th of September for CEDIA NCI Expo. So we'll be hanging out with some folks there. So you can check that out. And I believe in about a week, Mitchell will have the first round of previews on the website. So all that and more at avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.